From your perspective, how does the advertising tech world currently function? Is it a competitive space?
Well, it's great to be here, and thank you for the question. We just hosted about 1,200 folks in Marco Island across the digital ecosystem, and we had 2.5 days of conversation around privacy, public policy, addressability, the future of streaming, a healthy and open ad-supported ecosystem. I will tell you from where we sit, and we kind of go out to our membership every year with a survey. There is widespread belief that there is healthy competition. We have a very, very long tail in the internet ad ecosystem. We have millions of small businesses that rely upon advertising. And yes, we do have some larger players, but this news, which actually just broke today, I certainly did see it. We have not dove into it in any way. Just finished our conference about 2 hours ago, but obviously we'll be closely watching.
What was interesting is that many have used the anecdote that this is like Citibank or Goldman owning the New York Stock Exchange. How is it different? Can you get us under the skin of how the infrastructure that Alphabet owns and operates is different from, say, a bank owning the NYSE?
There are lots of companies that own multiple parts of the ad tech ecosystem, of the supply chain in the digital ecosystem, and the end beneficiary is consumers. Consumers like convenience, they like lower price, they like ad supported, they like free internet, they like free information, entertainment, communications. There are lots of examples of this beyond just Google. So I'm not sure why it's not just a Google situation. Folks do play on both sides of the equation, and the end recipient of that is a consumer winning.
Hey, David, let me come at it this way. The DOJ alleges that Alphabet, or Google in particular, dominates the market for search, but also dominates the market for advertising technology. You lead an industry association for advertising. Does Google dominate the market for advertising technology?
There was a report that recently came out, I believe it was in the Wall Street Journal about a month ago, that reported that between Google and Meta, they represent less than 50% of the ad-supported ecosystem in the US. That is a change. That is a decrease over time. Are there players that have significant influence and significant share? Yes. In lots of cases in the industry, whether you talk about detergent, chocolate, autos, there are lots of examples of leading players that have significant market share. I do not think the ad-supported ecosystem is any different than other categories.
Of course, David, you're the Interactive Advertising Bureau CEO, and I know one thing top of your mind right now is streaming. It was interesting, this weekend gone actually, Lucas Shaw out in LA, our correspondent covering that industry, interviewed the new CEOs of Netflix. And I'm paraphrasing, but they basically said they got to an ad-supported tier and they got to advertising when they realized they better get moving because of the competitive landscape. Where do we stand with the streamers, those newer players and those longer legacy players, in how they are contributing to that marketplace?
It represented a lot of our conversation over the past 2.5 days. In fact, we had Jeremy Gorman from Netflix as a speaker on the stage. He talked about they're getting into the ad-supported streaming space. It's still early days. They have a minimum viable product, and they're very excited about growing that, driving innovation and scale. There is absolutely no doubt that we are seeing a very, very quick shift from linear television to the streaming space. Ad-supported streaming is clearly where the action is at, and there's obviously lots of competition in that area. We host something every year, what's called the New Fronts, which is basically a celebration of what is the opportunity in the streaming space, which is coming up in May for the general upfront season when advertisers go to the market and buy for the upcoming year.
And what does the environment seem like, David? Everyone's been worrying that earnings are about to be upon us, and we're waiting to hear how these companies have navigated a slowing advertising environment. Is that what people are worrying and seeing in their business?
I think that's exactly the right word, is slowing. What we have seen, and we actually do research on this topic, we go out to the market, we interview buyers, and we believe that this year will be a growth year for the digital environment, but it'll be a far slower growth year than it has been historically. Overall, we see that the advertising space will grow about 6% in 2023, and there are areas that will decline, linear television as an example, and there are areas that will grow significantly. CTV, we have growing 14% year on year. And once again, that is coming off of a year of explosive growth in 21 and 2022. So a year of growth, but a year of slowing growth.